Hello and welcome. This is Graffiti Park. You guys are all at the Oat Show, and thanks for everybody joining us virtually here. Tonight we have a very special class about throwies taught by a very own 9 Ounces of Terror.
Yay! Alright everybody, what's up y'all?
What's up?
We're gonna start off doing jumping jacks. You know what I mean? So, thank you guys for coming. Today we're gonna talk about an art form known as throwies. Now, it's just straight grungy, get your name out there, big letters, but fast and fluent. It's more or less a style that is built from yourself. It's expressing who you are before you get into those pieces, before you get into those burners. And we'll explain a little different on the categories between throwies, hollows, burners, and all that today. So pretty much what we're gonna get down is pretty much the basics of a throwie. Now, before you even come up with a throwie, you gotta learn your name. Learning your name is the best technique. Whether that meaning learning how to do your name with style and a right. So for instance, oh, you gave me a Rusto fat.
Breaking off.
Give me a Lego. Senor Lego.
Get it together, Rez.
Just throw it on the floor, bro. I'll pick it up sooner or later.
Throw it anywhere.
Leave that one for later. So back to what we were saying. So learning your name before learning a throwie, before you even get into the basics of a bubble letter. All right. So we're gonna do mine. Res 47. Know it, love it, come to hate it. Everybody does. So with this technique, where I've learned it is I love flares. So I'm using a lot of wrist movement in my rights and in my throwies. It's the same concept. When you're doing a bubble, when you're coming up to your building of your letter, you want to use and incorporate a lot of your wrist movement. You get a stiff arm and you're getting more or less of a block letter instead of a curve. You know what I mean? So with that being said, let me just get down to the brass tacks of it. All right, so RES is how I do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna base my lettering off the bottom and work it up to the top, okay? So this would be my center line. This is my center starting point. This is also gonna be the line that separates the kneecap from the foot in the R, if that makes any sense. So. Everything about it is one fluid motion. There's no stopping, there's no cutting corners, there's none of that. With a throwie, you want to get in and out as fast as possible. It's more, like I said, it's more or less like that yin and yang motion, drawing circles. That's another thing that can help you a lot, matching circles. So you can go like this, and you can build a letter off of just this circle, believe it or not, okay? You can go right here and just start building off of it. You know what I mean? Learning those turns. And you have your R. You would erase these lines. You know what I mean? And that's where you base it up. Okay. So with this technique, there are certain rules to this. Okay. Now, these don't go over pieces. These don't go over burners. These don't go over wild styles. These are strictly get in and out on a clean spot. The word of the street, you would all know, don't
even go over my straight letters with
that. Don't even go over. Some writers will even say don't even go over their rights with it. You know what I mean? Because some people will say a right has more, there's more style into this. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. So
What are you gonna teach them?
So throwie, bombs, and burners. Throwies is pretty much what I just showed you right here. It's the type of lettering. Throwies is quick. It's in the name. Throw it up, get out. That's all it is. You know what I mean? So bombs. Now a bomb can also consist of a non-stop. What a non-stop is, and a lot of the older generation here that has been in the graffiti scene know them as one-liners or just don't stop. You know what I mean? And a lot of that art form has died nowadays because everybody's so big on building a single letter and making that single letter look better than the next. So with one-liners is you're keeping this same style, but I'm never letting my can stop. So I will go right back over it. And then you would stop there. Now with these one-liners, you're able to come back and fill them in. You can do whatever you want with this, but with this solid line, you have to make sure that your can never stops. It's in the name, non-stop. You know what I mean? So with that being said, burners. Now a burner is completely off the topic when it comes to throwies, because burners in themselves are almost like the little brothers to pieces. It's style in your letter, so it'd be taking a little bit more time and getting that extra pizzazz in it. You know what I mean? But I'm not taking the time to put detail work in it. I'm not taking the time to make it 3D. I'm not taking the time to make sure every line is crisp. A burner is just to prove your point. Burners go over one stops. They go over throwies because it's in the name. I'm coming to burn you. I'm showing you what I can do in a quick amount of time. Okay. Not many people agree with that aspect of it, but it is the rules of the streets. If you come harder than somebody, by all means, come harder.
Let's go over some rules to the streets, baby. Does it not work? Oh, there we go.
Rules of the streets. Now I feel like when a lot of artists, now we're gonna get it very known fact, street artists and graffiti artists are completely two different artists. Street artists is every medium. We paste, stencil work, everything. Graffiti artists, we have one tool, that's graffiti, that is spray paint. We get on the streets and we're not doing it to get our name out there, we're not doing it, you know, to make money or profit off of our art. It is what we are, we just love doing it. It's to make our name. I want to see my name on everything possible, whether it be a tag, whether it be a scratch on a bus, anywhere possible, that's where I want to see it. Whereas street artists, you guys want to express your art, but also make a living off of it. And that's what separates us from. There's a very, very good documentary on YouTube right now. I highly suggest watching it. It's called Duality. And the artists there, Jabbers, Sloke, all of them will tell you word for word that back in the days when street artist was first announced, that was like no to the graffiti world, because it looked like these guys are just coming in out of a gallery and now they're just putting up their work, but they're getting money off of it. Well, we've been doing it for years. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just what it is. So back to the street, the rules of the streets. Bombs and throwies never go over pieces. Pieces meaning full blown. There's nothing in this alley right here that's a piece. But if you're going over a piece, you better do it with a piece. Murals go over pieces, pieces go over pieces, but make sure your piece is better than whatever you're putting paint over. If it's a dead artist, if it's an artist that's well known that's no longer here, leave the work alone. Don't put bombs over it. Don't write your name next to it and take a picture and be like, yeah, I've seen that picture, or I've seen that put. That's just not. Let's respect this art form that we have, because the longer we get into it, the more acceptable it is to be a graffiti artist, or the more it is to be a street artist, because we still do get that shunned, you know, aspect of everything. But yeah, pretty much mind your own. Keep to yourself. Don't go over the writers unless you're down with the beef. Then you know what I mean. By all means. Flava or fire?
Tony's hard.
So flavor and fire. This pretty much goes under the exact same thing I was saying. Either you're gonna come hard, or it's gonna go up in flames. You know what I mean? So flavor is being what you bring to the table. What separates your throwie and your piece from every other person doing that style. What separates you as an artist from every other graffiti artist in the world? Why should you be named? And that's what that Flava is. That's where you push yourself. That's what you put yourself into that letter. Every letter, every structure to that letter is you. Every fine line is you. Now remember, it's not just street art. It's not just a picture that you're putting up. Like, this is beautiful, but that's, as a name, that's not who you are. As on the streets, you're putting your name. That's like looking in the mirror at yourself every day when you see your name on a wall somewhere. You know what I mean? So with Flavor or Fire, it's pretty much what you're able to do to put on the streets. Remember, like, a lot of us, we do this for the love of it. It's just come natural. You know, it's graffiti and street art will keep you out of trouble as much as it keeps you out of trouble. You know what I mean? But it is a piece of you. Don't ever lose that aspect of it, of graffiti. Graffiti is you, and it'll never change. Your style may change, your whole look at graffiti might change, but it's always going to be a piece of you. Nobody can come up with a letter like you. You have to, you know, that came from your heart. Every line, every, you know, diagram of that letter came from your heart. So let that build into something beautiful. And it might get bad in the beginning. Trust me, I was the whole worst thing I've ever, you know, come to painting on the streets. I would have pissed on my own shit back in the days. But it's that progression, it's that dedication, it's that love for street art and graffiti that makes you great. You know, my good friend Prophet Apparel tells me every day, dude, quit your day job and just work on that art. Well, I mean, if you got it, you got it. You got that flavor, then you won't have to worry about it burning up in flames. Physics to throwies. All right. We'll go back.
Shout out to those that are still with us virtually. At the end of these events, at the end of the classes, we always end up coming out and painting on the walls and putting these into practice. So there is always benefits coming here to the Ocho, and we would like to see you here at the next one.
At all of them, not the next one. I want to see you at every single one.
All of the next ones.
All the next ones. Every single one you're able to be a part of, be a part of it.
Smash that
You
like
know?
button, like, follow, subscribe.
So, throwies, physics of throwies. Back to what we were saying. So again, throwies are one single fluid motion when it comes to building the letter. Now this is Chasm. I did it for him. Really good friend. No, he's also an asshole and he's very smart. He's a smart ass. But this is his name. Now with his name was a little difficult because when it comes to K's, I cannot do K's to save my life. It is what it is. We all get those letters that we cannot do. Some of us are Z's, some of us are X's, and some of us are O's. It just is what it is. So you always want to keep, in my aspect of a throw, you always want to make a part of it or each part of the letter round. Always a bubble. It doesn't make much sense, you know what I mean? But every throwy in the whole world has always been round or bubbly. And it's come from bubble letters. From New York, from T-Kid. If you don't know who T-Kid is, I highly suggest you going back and looking at T-Kid from CIA Crew in New York City. They started the bubble letters. They started the throwies. And he'd tell you straight from himself that back in the days, it wasn't about it looking good. It was about the next me sitting on the train next to a rider and my name being in his mouth. But then it evolutionized. People are like, man, let's make it look good. Let's get it. You know what I mean? So let's get it. So we're gonna go back to this K. We're gonna try to do this K. So with the K, usually with the K, I always want we're gonna just stay on the K. With the K, you usually want to keep that back line, also the back of the K, obviously. It distincts every letter from itself. So there we go. You got that back piece going on. You know what I mean? So now you're gonna focus on how your cross outs are gonna be. Now it's very difficult to come up with these sometimes because you can get lost in the letter itself. A lot of people do their K's nowadays like this, and it comes up like that. Now remember, there's a lot, here I'll put it over here so we can all see it. So there's a lot of people that do their Ks like that nowadays. Don't worry about bringing it up. That's just the style and rights. A lot of people don't do this in their pieces, and a lot of people won't do this in their burners. It's just a distinctive way of doing it while you're doing it right. With me, on the other hand, I like to keep it as simple as possible. You still want it to make it look like a K as much as possible. Now I understand you're doing bubble letters, and it's very hard to distinct letters like that. It is what it is. So it's up to you as the artist to give it those distinctive features to make it that letter, to make it so somebody, the next writer, can read it. Because with all the styles of throwies nowadays, shit gets very confusing and really quick. When you're filling in, you always fill left to right. Now the reason for this isn't just because it makes it look really clean. What we've all learned as graffiti artists, it's easier to follow the line that you put on the wall when you're going side to side. Because if I start filling the way like this, the way that line's going, it's eventually going to disappear into my paint. And then that's when you get very, very confused when you go back to do your outline. So side to side is your best friend. And there's so much damn shit on this wall, I can't tell where everything's at. So I'm just gonna go like this. But it gives you the perfect example of being able to see the lines that are still under the paint. So you still have your reference line, even though the whole thing's filled in. Remember, back to the rules, throwies, there's no need for the paint to be solid. That's not what they're there for. It's like I said, it's get in and get out. And honestly, me personally, the side to side look looks good for graffiti. I don't know why, it just always has. So let's try this green tip out. Oh, hello. So this is a new tip that I haven't tried yet. I don't know the name of it. Let's see. Now, nothing about throwies is clean. Nothing about throwies is simple, or well, I shouldn't say that. Nothing about throwies has to be hard. It's all, like I said, it's all one single motion. If I were to do my name on this whole board, it should only take you about 3 minutes tops, if that. Remember, you're here for quick, in and out, let's go. But yeah, so pretty much you want to base all your letters, but the big major things about it, each letter has to be round in its own way. Each letter should also follow the same physics as the normal letter. You don't want to get too crazy with it where you just lose the letter completely, because then it looks really confusing when you go out to paint, you put your name up somewhere, and then you got 3 artists saying 5 different names because they don't know what your letters, what your letter is. So don't ever make it harder than it needs to be. As simple as just putting the letter on the wall or on the paper or whatever medium you're using, and building off of this line. This is your best friend, normal letters. Build everything off of this, and I guarantee you, if you build off of just normal lettered lines, you can be very, very surprised as to what letters you will come out with. Because like I said, now that we have our solid lines, you come back, and then you just play with it. Just play with your letters. It's a simple mistake. Simple mistakes is graffiti. You want to know why? Because nothing in graffiti is perfect. And tips. Tips. Yes, this is a big one. Tips. Now, when I talk about this, I don't mean go out to the tracks with this case in your pocket. Don't do that. Don't be the guy that walks around with 500 tips in your pocket because you can't make up your mind what you want to do. All right? Make a plan. You're going to go out and do some quick stuff. Your best friend, just pull him out. Everybody's best friend, almost everybody in this room. New York Fats. They're little, but they get the job done. Mostly for flare work and for really, really, really tight lines, believe it or not. Me personally, I like as big as possible. I want to be able to see it in the most inconvenient spot in town. So you're gonna go with Astro Fats. Now this is a big boy right here. This separates the boys from the men. All right, right here. And we'll just.
What's up, Nate Dog?
Now with Astro Fats, it gets the job really done really quick. But you see how much paint it's pushing out while you're doing it. Now, if I go like this, there's a lot of paint coming out of this can. Now, when you get to this point and you want to start using fat caps, speed is a factor. You have to have speed. Any fat cap that you use, New York Fats, Legos, Astro Fats, Pro caps, any of those caps that you use nowadays, you have to think about speed, because if you stop for the slightest moment, you're gonna get a run. And some people like the drifts, you know, that's that rugged graffiti style, but you don't want to see that every letter you do, you know, especially when it's coming from the top, coming down. So tips are always the biggest thing in your world. You're going out painting and having a good time with your crew, your homies and stuff. You probably wouldn't use a cream cap. You wouldn't use any of these skinny caps. Skinny caps are for detail work, for outlines. When you're doing pieces, you're doing character work, you're doing anything like that. Any skinny tip, pro cap, anything of that nature is going to be for detail work. Fat caps are for your just getting in, just nice, big, solid lines. But it's also really, really, really good for blend work. If you want to come in and blend this, because it's such a fat tip, you're pushing so much paint out at once that it's almost like a cloud, like a little happy cloud. And it makes it beautiful for blending in your paint. Fat caps are your best friends when you want to blend. Always remember that. Don't be scared to use a fat cap on learning how to blend, because if you blending everything before black lines come down, you're gonna mesh all that outer spray in together as one, and you won't even tell that your colors have bled into each other. So tips, tips, tips. Do your research on your tips. Go in your backyard, pick up a piece of wood. Learn each tip. Every artist is different. Every artist has a different feel for a tip. So once you get that feel for it and you learn what tip works best for you, stick to it. But don't ever be scared to touch these fatter tips. Don't ever be...
Pause? What did you just say?
Go on. Go on. I'm listening. Say that shit slowly. Say it like you mean it.
Just the two.
Look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes.
Louder for the people in the back.
Pick the right tip, all right? See, and if you haven't came to any of our classes yet physically, you should, because this is the kind of gold you get here. Yes, pick the right tip. Don't go out looking for different tips, because then you'll look for problems and then whatever. Now, one tip I just want to we'll get off to this point. Now, one tip on here is not a normal tip. All right, you don't just go to the store and buy this tip, and it's this tip right here. Some people have never seen this tip right here. Yeah. This tip only comes on one can. Actually, it only comes on 2 cans. Now there's the flame booster. You don't even have to be. Nope, that's got a pink dot on it. Those are pink
dots.
Yeah. All right. So the only cans that these tips come on are the flame booster cans, about this long. Matter of fact, you can just give me one of these Maximos.
Yeah.
Flame booster cans about this big. They come with these tips. Now this is a giant calligraphy tip. The reason why it's a calligraphy tip, or also known as a fan tip, is because it sprays out like a fan. Straight, just flat as a piece of paper, like a bat wing. You know what I mean? But
bring like 3 of them.
yeah. Don't mind them. Anyways, like I said, these tips only come on two cans there, and then the last can that it comes on is a Mad Max. Now, Mad Max, a lot of people have forgotten what Mad Maxes are for. Mad Maxes are strictly for trains. That's what their purpose was for. That's why they were created. They push out almost 120 psi and 1 squirt of the. It's a lot of paint. Now, they were made for trains. The reason why is because the biggest tip you got, you really won't see it on a train. It just did. So they came out with something almost close to a fire extinguisher, but in your hand. So that's pretty much all it is. The rest of these tips, like I said, don't ever be discouraged
Use that
about
silver one,
using your tip. Oh, you want me to use this silver one?
Yeah, the one that's on the left. That one's already dead.
Yeah, and I know you guys might get super excited on your first time going out, but you don't just walk around with these in your pocket, because these are a little big. Like I said, this is to get down and dirty. Like my
You know you.
like my buddy Mixer. Nasty Nate. See?
They throw my name up there.
Got you.
It'll be $44.95.
So, teach you one thing about chrome. Not all blacks will cover chrome. It's sad to say this. There's only a couple blacks from the Montana line that will cover chrome, and it's 3G. 3Gs were made to cover chrome, and Omega colors.
The nitros.
The nitros, yeah. Which I believe our good friend Daniel is trying to find one for
I don't
us.
think I have any of them.
Give them
Okay.
a Polska markers.
Posca markers, yeah. That's So, just the perfect example, just to show it to you, so you can see what I mean when I say that these silver is a very, and you can smell it when you spray it. I don't know if you guys can smell it now. It's a lot stronger than a normal spray paint. So, the reason why it's such a strong smelling paint is the pigment is it's so thick. With chrome, the pigment is a lot thicker than normal paint because of the reflectiveness of it. Because of the, you want to try? I don't think it's gonna work, but we can try it. So we got 94 black, brand new can. Like I said, chrome is not that fun to try to cover. So if you're gonna go do a chrome burner, chrome fill in, you're gonna do a whole train in chrome, make sure you buy the black that's gonna cover it. Because if you don't, believe it or not, the chrome will bleed through your black. And then you got a bunch of black lines with leprosy.
Let's try it. Because I go chrome with a 94 right away. Come back the next day.
There you go. Gotta have some faith in that 94.
It's a small tip, bro. Not much fake.
It's the dead.
Tell me, Mister, shut up.
I quit. I quit. So again, with Chrome.
That looks like oh, dude. That's your Among Us R?
You love that, huh? You love that? Sus. Sus. This guy sell you candy in a dark alley if you let him. Back to
Back to the tips.
back to my tips, okay? So again, you always want to make a plan before you go out to the yard, before you go out to your spot. We're not walking around with a brie cave like yeah, like that. My speech impediment. But yeah, we're not walking around with this. This is here for all the amazing artists at Graffiti Park. So if you ever come to one of our volunteer events, we got plenty of tips for you, brother. Plenty
You
of
got
tips.
one this weekend, shameless plug?
Yeah, another one. Enjoy. Don't go crazy. And I think.
Everything's a lane.
Right. And then there you go. Thanks. Yeah, there you go. So, if you guys didn't learn anything from this class, I didn't expect you to. But thank you guys for coming to listen to me babble. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Rez.
9 ounces, 2 years old yesterday. Woo! Woo! So, thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for coming to the Graffiti Park class. If you didn't learn anything, if you did, awesome. Let's pass it down to your children. You know what I mean? Just pass the torch. As graffiti artists, this is our torch, so we pass it to you. You know what I mean?
Nice. Very
So,
nice.
love you guys. Again, thank you for all the support and love you guys have given me. I really appreciate it. And I just want to thank the artists in this room. I want to thank Graffiti Park for making me who I am. You know what I mean? I was just a straight graffiti artist. Never did it for anything. And Graffiti Park gave me an outlet to push my art farther than just the streets. So, thank you guys. Thank you everybody in this room.